Okay, folks, I'm a creature of habit, and I tend not to change much. I don't like to change my car. I've been driving the same car for about 10 years. I've been using the same computers for about 10 years. And I've been reading the same websites by and large for about 10 years. And especially that's been true in the comic book area. There is a particular website called Newsarama, and Newsarama has been my go to place for comic book news for the last 10 plus years. Recently, it was acquired by Games Radar, and that was a little bit of a switch to its format, but for the most part, it's the same site it was before. But lately, they started a trend that has caused me to basically drop their site for Bleeding Cool. And I'll get to Bleeding Cool in a little bit, but I just want to talk about the change that happened with Newsarama, because maybe this is something that'll get back around to them and they'll fix it. But Newsarama started to become very, very bad about spoilers. Now, granted, much of what they do has spoiler warning on the label. They'll basically put an image of something, and they'll black out portions of it, and then they'll do a spoiler warning of it. Now, sometimes they've flubbed, though, and it's been accidental at times, so I haven't really held that against them. But, like, for example, there was one point where they accidentally spoiled an M. Night Shyamalan movie, which, that's kind of a cardinal sin. But at the same time, they were doing a reporting that was kind of like future prognostication about another M. Night Shyamalan movie, and they let slip a particular detail that people who had watched the current movie would know. But at the same time, just knowing that detail is enough to really shade how you watch that particular movie. It's a complicated spoil. It's not just, oh, such and such happened, and then they told us. It was just something where they weren't really paying attention and not realizing how important that piece of information was. Okay, I can understand people who do that. I mean, for me, of course, my spoiler theory is don't tell anyone anything about the movie that could possibly color that person's perception of the movie in any way. I don't even want to know that the movie ends. Not just how the movie ends, but that the movie ends. Don't even tell me that much. But what got worse, the spoilering got worse as Newsarama progressed forward until it got to the point where they actually started doing not just spoilers, but full reveals. They would do a spoiler article, and it's a cheap way of providing content for their site, because all they're doing is really reprinting the previous article under a new banner. So what they would do is they would come out with an article about something exciting that just happened in comics, and they would say spoiler warning, and they would give you a little bit of a picture or something, but sometimes it'd be blacked out, and then you could click on it if you wanted to and go into it. But then, like a week or two later, they would print the same article and they would just show you. They would just basically say, this happens. And they put it in the headline. They put it in the headline so you can't even miss it. You don't have the option whether you're going to be spoiled or not. And it's like, okay, this is very, very rapidly approaching deal breaker status at that point. And then there were times when they would just preview comics that were coming out saying, oh, look who's going to be, like, for example, in Marvel Comics, look who's going to be the new Sorcerer Supreme. I didn't really want to know that, especially considering the old series that hasn't quite wrapped up yet. I mean, can you give me a freaking break here? And there was no reason why they had to do that. They could have just basically said, click here to see who the new Sorcerer Supreme will be. But no, they just go and show you. Well, the ultimate crime that they committed just recently is that they revealed what happens at the end, the after credits scene of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Specifically, they say, here is this MCU hero that's been featured in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and look who's playing that hero. It's like, oh, really? You're even showing me who the actor is. Because that's kind of a spoiler too, It's not just the fact that so-and-so character is in there. It's also the fact that this person is playing that character. So it's a double spoiler right there in the headline. Like, really? You felt the need to tell me that without giving me any chance to opt out. Not only that, I went ahead and clicked in because I was thinking, okay, well, it can't really get any worse. But that was when I found out that this was from the after credit scene. It's like, great, now you have robbed me of any anticipation I'm going to feel for the end credits portion of Doctor Strange 2. It's like, screw it. I'm not even going to see the movie now. Because not only did I really not care about it to begin with, but now you've just basically taken away all the fun that's going to be in there. So I'm just done. I have been reading Newsarama for like 10 years. 10 years. And I have never been so pissed off with a website that I felt like I had to just go and change it. So I asked around on Twitter and I asked for recommendations. And I was recommended the site Bleeding Cool. So I went to look at Bleeding Cool, and one thing that I noticed that was very important to me is that they do have comic book solicitations on there. So basically, every month, the major comic book companies release what comics are going to be coming out in 2 months. And I need that. I need to be able to see that so that I can plan what my purchases are going to be in advance and to just kind of keep current on what is going on in comics. I mean, generally today, I don't get a lot of comic books like right off the rack. I just basically buy reprint volumes. I love Marvel's Epic Collections. Marvel's Epic Collections are the bomb. They are the best thing that Marvel has ever done. As far as reprints goes, I wish they'd do more of them, especially with the series that they've partially started but haven't gone through the whole way with, like Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. We need a volume 2 of that. What's another one? Ant-Man. We need a second volume of that. So if we can get, some good volumes of those going, and there's been a lot of great volumes so far. I mean, it's like 6 volumes of the Hulk going on 7. You've got 8 or 7 or 8 volumes of Fantastic Four. It's wonderful, and the best thing about those Epic Collections is that they collect not only the heroes' appearances in their own titles, but also significant appearances in other titles. So, yeah, I highly recommend those volumes. Anyway, getting back to my original point, I usually read the solicitations to find out what trade paperbacks, what Epic Collection reprints, what new comics, new events, or things are coming up in the future. So I looked at Bleeding Cool's articles and their captions and their use of spoiler language and things like that, and they look really acceptable. And so I am switching from Newsarama to Bleeding Cool. The one complaint I do have about Bleeding Cool is, oh my God, the ad bloat. I have never visited a site so slow on account of all the freaking ads. It's gotten to the point where now, if I want to read something on Bleeding Cool, I don't even read it on the site. I basically go to the site, I get the link, and then I plug the link into archive.today, and then I will just wait for the archive to generate, and then I will go read that, because it's impossible, unless you've got some sort of ad blocker software, which I don't have, to go through and just even scroll down. I mean, let me put it this way. Bleeding Cool's website is so bloated with adware that I will click on the Bleeding Cool thing, and then if I think to myself, I really don't need to see that, I will click the little X up in the corner to shut it down, and it will take like 3 seconds just to get through all the ad processing to shut down. It's insane. And if these guys, I don't know if you really need all of that ad bloat on there to make any money off of this, but my God, there's got to be something that's going to make that site better. Now, as long as you've got the solicitations and you've got a few decent stories, I'll just go ahead and go ahead with Bleeding Cool until maybe I can find something better than that. But in the meantime, Bleeding Cool will do. But I just wanted to say this as a goodbye to Newsarama, because, guys, if you don't care about your readers, if you don't care enough about your readers to protect them from spoilers and to not just openly spoil things for them, I don't know what your game plan is for the future, because you've alienated me, and it takes a freaking lot to alienate me. So, I'm Mike Partika. Thanks for watching, and do subscribe if you haven't already. I will talk to you later, and hopefully I will see you over on Bleeding Cool. Well, I don't know if they have forums or anything like that, but, give them a try. Maybe if your computer's faster than mine, and it may well be, I mean, this thing is 10 years old after all, then your processing will handle their stuff just fine. But, yeah, if you're using a dinosaur like I am, oh my God. All right, take care. I will talk to you later.